Hey guys, I haven't made a video in a while. So last year I made a video about things that gay kids loved, and I just listed stuff from my childhood that kind of resonated with my queerness. And in that video, I talked about what makes something iconic to queer people. Like, why do certain scenes or characters just sort of spark joy in our brains? It's like the theatrics of a situation, the attitude of a character, the way someone might present themselves. You could call it camp. It seems like all queer people have sort of a spidey sense for these sort of things, and it's something that straight people just don't seem to be able to identify. Or at least not most straight people. Most recently, a show called WandaVision, you may have heard of it, swept the nation. And although I typically don't enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I find it to be explicitly not queer, actually I find it to be like excruciatingly straight, but WandaVision had a lot of camp. Whether it's the focus on female leads, the attention to detail in the episodes that reference different eras of television, or Catherine Hahn as a powerful witch, the show is basically full of things that make queer people go wild. But because I liked WandaVision, people are now telling me that I should watch The Winter Soldier. And I'm like, fuck no. Because from the trailer alone, I can tell it's just not gonna have that same gay spark. Oh, this? No, I'm not pitching my own merch. I would never. But don't forget to subscribe to ExpressVPN. But yeah, there's no way I'm watching The Winter Soldier or Falcon or whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called. I don't care. But anyway, it turned out people liked that video I made. And apparently a lot of you are identifying with the things that I'm calling out as underratedly queer. And according to my Instagram poll, apparently people want to see what other underrated queer iconic moments I have in my head. So this time I'm going to do a list of gay iconic moments from celebrities, in no particular order. So number 1, back in 2009, Perez Hilton got punched in the face by will.i.am's manager.
Because I am a human being.
Which seems pretty iconic on its own, but that's not what I'm talking about here. During that same week, Kelly Clarkson happened to be doing a promo tour for her new album, and on every talk show and every radio show she went on, she made sure to mention that she thought Perez Hilton deserved it.
I mean, it's expected that someone would, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
And that she was happy it happened.
So you heard about the Perez thing, did you?
I did. He has flowers in the mail, the manager.
Oh, you don't like
I just love this because it's such an honest thing to say and something that a publicist would probably advise against. But she did it multiple times, and she was right. Because of course he deserved it. Perez Hilton is a piece of shit. I've always seen it as like a power move by a woman, and it's a queer iconic moment in my eyes. Number 2 is the photo shoot that was released with Mariah Carey's The Emancipation of Mimi album. Mariah? Who the fuck is this? Like, the Photoshop on these photos is beyond all reason. This doesn't even look like a photo. It looks like an off-model CGI render of Mariah. This is like that Final Fantasy The Spirits Within movie. We're well into Uncanny Valley. And for me, the sheer audacity of releasing these thinking that it looks like you is iconic. Also, great album. Number 3 is when Fabio got hit by a goose on a roller coaster. So for the children, Fabio was like a model in like the 80s and 90s who, I guess he was most famous for like being the spokesperson for I Can't Believe It's Not Butter.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter.
But he's like the model stereotype, like the 80s, 90s model stereotype. So back in 1999, Fabio showed up to Busch Gardens to promote a new roller coaster. During the ride, a goose hits his face, instantly killing the goose.
A bird flew towards him and out on the rides. First time that this has ever happened.
Once the ride is over, his face is like covered in blood. I don't know if it's his blood. I don't know if it's goose blood. Can you imagine going to promote a roller coaster and this happening? This is camp. This is the example we need to show straight people when they ask what camp is. Number 4 is Bjrk talking about a TV.
Hello. It is Christmas time, and I'm sitting here by my TV.
So there's this video from the 90s of Icelandic singing sensation Bjrk taking apart a TV and just kind of talking about it.
It looks like a city, like a little model of a city, and all the houses which are here, and streets.
She's like kind of reacting to the parts inside.
And here are all the wires. These wires. They really take care of all the electrons when they come through here. They take care of that. They are powerful enough to get all the way through here. I read that in a Danish book.
It's like this surreal pre-YouTube tech review. Everything about the video is a fever dream.
You shouldn't let poets lie to you.
Number 5 is Liza Minelli on the Shopping Channel. So obviously Liza Minelli is not an underrated gay icon. In fact, she's one of the main ones. But there's this specific segment of her on the Shopping Channel that I never hear anybody mention.
Beautiful Liza Minelli. Hi, guys. Oh.
She's promoting something called the Liza Collection, which seems to include a bunch of clothes and jewelry and stuff.
You like the clothes? Huh? Do you like the clothes?
And predictably, she's absolutely nuts and totally out of it for the whole thing.
Come here. Put that up over your shoulder. No, not the where the bow is. The other shoulder.
Oh, nice.
The other shoulder.
And, and you know, that scarf.
And then, put it over this shoulder. And then in the middle of conversation, just drop it. Okay?
And the host has this really funny dynamic with her where she's like trying to suck up to her, but Liza doesn't give a shit.
How about 2 or 3 or 4?
What?
Bracelets.
One'll do.
One'll do is my favorite Liza quote, and nobody has any idea where it's from. Number 6 is J-Lo in The Cell. If you haven't seen this movie, you have to immediately. It's one of those late 90s, early 2000s, like serial killer movies with like that psychological thriller element to it, like Seven or whatever. Except this one stars Jennifer Lopez. She plays a psychologist who does experimental virtual reality treatments on coma patients, where she essentially like digitally goes inside their mind. Of course, she ends up having to go into a serial killer's mind to like gain knowledge about his victims or something. And it's so fucking funny in there. All of the scenes inside his mind is filmed like an early 2000s music video, like with elaborate sets and outfits. It's like David LaChapelle in there. It's so ridiculous, so stupid, so flashy. The movie basically sucks, but it's worth watching it for all of these like mind scenes. The aesthetic is off the charts. I think more now than at the time. Number 7 is Elizabeth Taylor drunk at the Golden Globes.
Thank you very much.
This one might be a little bit more popular than the others, but it still needs to be shown. So basically, a later in life Elizabeth Taylor is completely wasted at the 2001 Golden Globes while she's supposed to present like best movie drama or something. She doesn't seem to understand the format at all. So instead of reading the nominees off the prompter, she starts to just open the envelope and read the winner.
What?
Which forces Dick Clark to come out on stage and stop her.
I don't open this.
And I think it's what she says that makes the moment so great.
I usually like to get them.
It's always great to see like a gay icon who's always so composed kind of like let loose. It's very easy to just mentally replace her with Moira Rose in this clip.
What's this? Oh, I see. Elizabeth. Billy Elliot.
Number 8 is Janet Jackson's right breast creating YouTube. So everybody knows about the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson incident at the 2004 Super Bowl. I actually think that's where the term wardrobe malfunction came from. But what a lot of people don't know is that that event had the butterfly effect of creating the very platform you're watching me on right now. If you were around in 2004, it was actually really fucking hard to find videos on the internet. There was like no site where it was easy to upload anything, no site you could reliably search for anything on. So apparently one of the main inspirations for YouTube was easy accessibility to that particular video. Kinda creepy actually, but imagine just like one of your boobs being that influential. Jenna Marbles, PewDiePie, Shane Dawson. You can track all these people back to like Janet's nipple. Fred, remember Fred? That's power. That's camp. And number 9, Paula Abdul continually talking about being in a plane crash for which there is no record of. I love this one. So it's exactly what it sounds like. Since the early 2000s, Paula Abdul has been talking in interviews about how a plane crash at the end of one of her tours in the early 90s caused her to leave the entertainment industry for like 7 years.
One of the engines blew up and the right wing caught on fire, and we crash landed. I didn't have my seatbelt on.
But when it happened, she never mentioned it. And nobody mentioned it. And nobody can find any record of this ever happening. She herself didn't bring it up until like almost 10 years later. In her defense, she says it was a small, like 7-seater plane and only a few people were on it. Like maybe it was a really small crash and like nobody reported it. Like, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt here, but I love the idea that Paula Abdul maybe just made up a plane crash for no reason. Like, she said she's had, like, multiple spinal surgeries because of this. She might be telling the truth, but I love to think that she isn't. Side note, do you ever think about how crazy it was that in the mid-2000s, there was a singing show on Fox and a dancing show on Fox, and Paula Abdul was judging the singing show and not the dancing show? Anyway, those are the first ones that came to mind that I don't hear people talk about a lot. If you want to hear more, hit the subscribe, and I think there's a bell. Do you agree with these? Do you think they're not gay? Do you think they're not iconic? Let me know. Bye.
Oh, what'll do?